Hi, I'm Bob McElligott, and right now I am joined by ESPN's John Buccigross. And John, first of all, welcome back to Nationwide Arena.
Great to be back in Ohio. Went to high school and college here. Went to dinner with a college buddy, lunch with a high school buddy. So it's a great way to come back and do a game, which I love doing. And then obviously this would be the place I'd pick if I could come back, would be Columbus.
Well, this is why I wanted to talk to you, because there's a very special game that's coming up about a year from now at Ohio Stadium, as the NHL will take the game outside here in Columbus for the outdoor game at the Shoe. Right. As an Ohio guy, what did you think when you heard that?
Yeah, I immediately thought back to 1982. Me and some high school buddies started this little street hockey league over in Steubenville, Ohio. We'd play on Saturday mornings. We'd rent out this gymnasium next to Holy Rosary Church. We'd all pay a couple bucks, rent it out. We had 4 teams. We were the Butch Bruins at the time. My dad's from Boston, so I was kind of a Bruins fan. And I just remember playing those games on Saturday, and I would write a little newspaper. I'd hand write a newspaper with stats and features and team updates, just like the hockey news. I, in fact, traced the old English letters, too. And that's what I thought about, because I realized back then, that's 40 years ago, there was a dream there'd be hockey in Ohio. And here we are now, a stadium series, outdoor game at the Shoe, Red Wings and Blue Jackets, 105,000 people. It'll be the biggest thing going on. And it took me back to those days.
Now, you kept the stats. Did you lead in the stats category?
I was not the MVP. That was Mike Florak, my buddy, who ended up going to OU and playing baseball. Great player, drafted in the big leagues and the whole thing. But no, I was a good player. So just like my broadcasting career. Not in varsity, not all-star, but just a good complimentary piece.
Well, you talked about the fact there could be over 100,000 people at this game. And really, what these games are, they're not games. They're events. They're life events. They're maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I've been to a couple. I went to one in Pittsburgh. In fact, the one Sidney Crosby got that first injury where we thought it could affect his career against the Capitals. Went to that one. Went to the Fenway Park one a couple of years ago in Boston, which was amazing. It's amazing how they've improved throughout the years as well. How the infield, they really decorate that. The first one up in Buffalo with the Penguins, you saw all the infrastructure around there. And then even in Boston, I noticed they put speakers, they put microphones during the play so that people at the game can hear the puck, the skate blade. I thought that was an amazing move, because when you do go to those games, you don't hear the sounds of hockey. I noticed that in the Pittsburgh game when I first went to that. I didn't hear the puck rattle around the boards. I really couldn't even hear a check up against the glass. Now they mic that so the people at the game can hear the sounds of hockey. So I thought that's been a great addition. The evolution of the outdoor game. And like you said, it is like a festival, a celebration of the sport. Usually there's ancillary stuff. Some high school teams get to play. Looks like there won't be any college stuff with the Buckeyes and Michigan. That's a shame, but maybe they will the next year. But it'll be the biggest thing, obviously, in Columbus. One of the biggest things of the year is that day.
So you talked about going to 2 different venues, a football stadium,
correct, yeah,
and a baseball park.
Right.
So when you look at it like that, obviously football stadium here and a huge football stadium at that.
Right.
The presentation. How much different is it, just based on that setup of stadiums? Yeah,
that's a good point. I think the grandeur of the football stadium is definitely bigger. I think the players felt that in New Jersey this year with the games going on with the Devils and the Flyers, Rangers and Islanders. They felt the bigness and the loudness of it, of 100,000 people. Fenway Park, you're only going to get probably 30 in there with the configuration of the ballpark. But of course, you can throw it in a little nook there. And so there's some really good seats when they put them in the old baseball parks, Wrigley and Fenway especially. You really get a couple of people who have some amazing seats. But yeah, just the grandeur. And of course, like you said, it's also a television show as well. And it'll televise so well. And of course, the drone shots and all the great visuals they're going to have of Columbus and of the Shoe is going to bring it to kind of a new audience, international audience, that maybe, Ohio State football isn't as big in Sweden as maybe some of the Red Wings players are, right? And Lucas Raymond, probably more popular than Eddie George in Sweden. So yeah, I think that'll help show Columbus to I know it has a worldwide audience now, and in many reasons, whether it's the Arnold Classic or whether it's the Crew or even Ohio State football. But this will bring a whole other flavor.
Yeah, and it really started back in 2007 when the draft came here. Then in 2015, the NHL All-Star Game was here in Columbus.
Yep.
Now it is this. But what this city has proven time and time again is the ability to host these kind of events and go on, as you just said, a world stage.
No doubt. And, I really want the Frozen Four to come back to Columbus. It's, it hasn't been back here since at the Shot. And now that, they only go to NHL arenas now, they started that move. Once they started there, then I hope the next rotation, it's St. Paul this year, then it's St. Louis, and then it's St. Vegas, as I call it. Those are the next 3 Frozen Fours. They'll make the announcement for the next 4 probably sometime later this year. So I hope Nashville, Columbus, somebody's great. And I'm glad it's going to St. Louis, middle of the country cities like this. And I think Columbus is a great, as the city continues to grow and the reputation for the great restaurants, you mentioned the hotel and how it can host a championship situation. I just hope it becomes more of a hockey hotbed, whether have maybe Olympic women or men train here, just really make it a hockey hotbed as it grows out and make Ohio, the entire state, a place that produces NHL players, a good number of them.
I've never heard the words Saint and Vegas back to back.
Yes, right. That. Yes, little contradiction there. Yes, oxymoron, right?
Yes, it is. Could you imagine being a college student at Ohio State, and this event is coming to your town?
Right.
The way that they flock to the football games. Listen, they can play Youngstown State, and there's going to be 100,000, right? So, and I know in talking to the NHL, it was very important that the students were in session for this game. So it's in March. School will be in session. It'll be getting close to spring break, too, so it'll be antsy, right?
That's right.
Can you imagine the excitement from a college?
That's a great point. I never really thought about that part of it, that the youthful energy that a college town and a college, much like I'm sure it did, like you said, when Michigan had it, though, they were probably at home. A lot of the students were at home on break because that was a Winter Classic game, which is around New Year's Day. This is being a Stadium Series game. Then it'll be different. It'll be a youthful vibe, and we'll see how much they can incorporate that into how they set up a student section, maybe like they do at a college rink, and what they can do. But that's a great point on the extra energy it can have with the young Ohio State Buckeye students.
And as you know, because we're in this broadcast business, but it is a business too. So this is about opening the eyes of many people that maybe some of these young students, maybe older people, whatever, that haven't made it to Nationwide Arena to see the NHL in person.
You're right, and not just Ohio State, but whether it's Otterbein or Capital or some Heidelberg student princes from up in Tiffin, where I graduated from, they can make the 90-minute drive down here and go see a game, make a weekend of it in Columbus. So yeah, you're right. It's another way for hockey because let's face it, in this world, the entertainment business, it's competitive, and there's so much going on. We see F1 is now popular in America, and that just takes away from buying a jersey and buying a ticket and buying whatever. So as any sport needs to keep marketing, keep pushing, because you can't afford to go backwards as all these different sports begin to evolve and bloom. And so, yeah, these things are very important for the sustainability of the sport.
Most important question for you. Are you going to be at that game? I
don't know. We'll see. Obviously ESPN has gotten those games, but I heard maybe it could be a TNT game because of that whole Four Nations thing next year, and we're going to be involved in that. So maybe there's kind of trade-offs going. I don't know, because when I heard that, my heart kind of sank. I go, wait a minute, I thought for sure this was going to be an ESPN production, but yes, I will be here no matter what. I will make sure I'm here.
It actually might be more fun if you're not working.
That's a great point. So now I hope we don't have it, and I can just go crazy, and have a great time. Make it a nice weekend with all my high school buds and all my college buds who all went to Columbus after they graduated.
All right, so we've talked a lot about college, obviously. Let's talk about this young core that the Blue Jackets have, because a lot of them have come from college, and I don't think anybody follows college hockey the way you do.
That's my job.
Yeah, it is, and you've done a great job of it on ESPN, seriously, with the way that you've promoted it. And of course, college hockey has come a long way from where it used to be. I remember the days when I was working in the East Coast Hockey League or the American Hockey League, and if you came out of college, you had to work a little bit harder because everybody was coming from junior, and they thought, well, maybe you're a little bit soft because you went to college. Now college is like the way to go.
Well, once they realized, I'd say about 15 years ago, that skill development, that became the number one important thing for young hockey players. We need to develop skill. And once in Sweden was a great model, because people were like, why is this little country, population-wise, producing an inordinate amount of high first-round draft picks? That doesn't make any sense. We're a country of 300 million people. We should be able to, and that's, of course, when the U.S. development program came along, and developing skill. And the best place to develop skill is college, because you play 2 games a week. You can lift weights and train all week long, and then you play on the weekends. And when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, that's how you get better. So they realized that's the model to get better, and NHL players want to be highly skilled. They have to be highly skilled to make it in the league now. And I started doing the Frozen Four in 2011. It was hard to find a game on TV. This is just 13 years ago. To find a game in high definition TV was very difficult. Now the Big Ten Network comes along, and the Big Ten, which I think really was kind of the Big Bang Theory for college hockey, because now you had to be competitive and show your games on television. And now there's ample, and now with streaming, ESPN Plus, you can watch all kinds of college hockey. So for the consumer, it's really been great for them. And yes, it's just college hockey now, and a lot of Canadian kids like Adam Fantilli realizes that's a good model for me to gain some weight and get better.
Can you believe, as an Ohio guy, that Michigan has become such a pipeline for the Columbus Blue Jackets with the Zach Werenskis, Adam Fantillis, Kent Johnsons, Gavin Brindley's on the way? Can you believe that?
Yeah, of course, and that's what Michigan has such an advantage because that developmental program is in Michigan for the U.S.-born players. Again, Adam's Canadian, as you know. But the guys who go through there, that's good for Michigan. They get kind of a leg up on people, so they bring those people right in. But I love Adam. I think Adam is the guy that his image and likeness is what the Blue Jackets are all about. And he came from a great family, raised well, and that's the guy you want to build everything around. I can't wait till Gavin Brindley comes. I hope it's this spring. I wouldn't mind if Michigan didn't make the tournament. Then he could be here in March and get a few games with Adam because they worked out so well together last year, so well. Gavin is so smart. He thinks the game so well besides his skill, and I hope to see him and Adam with the Blue Jackets maybe at the end of this regular season.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask you about that because those guys, you go back to the draft, and when Gavin got drafted, Adam was right there to hug him. He claims he would have done it whether he was going to the Blue Jackets or not, but hey,
I'm sure
it's
he would
extra
have.
special,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, they were dynamite last year for Michigan, and they think the game alike, and he'll be a great compliment for this organization, Gavin. Those are the kind of guys you win with when you build a team.
And when you're talking about building a team, and we talked about the outdoor game, look, you got to be better when you get there. But as you look at the prospects here, and I'm lucky I get a chance to watch them each and every day, but from the outside looking at it, what does the picture look like to you?
Looks good to me. Man, not only the guys already here, obviously Chinnikov and Marchenko just have so much skill, and they're getting that age. Some guys, it takes them till they're 24, 25, some guys are good right away, some guys are good when they're 21, and some guys take till they're 24. So that's the magic age, I think. If doesn't happen 24, 25, it doesn't usually going to happen. So it reaches a point where now it's time to go. But even the guys who aren't even here yet in junior and in college coming, I watch all them on video as well, and there's a lot of stuff coming. And they should be really excited. And now it's just building the right team, right? You just don't get a bunch of players and throw them out there. It doesn't work that way. It's complement pieces. It's this kind of guy and that kind of guy and that kind of guy. That's how you build a team, and that's what the next GM will have to figure out how to do that.
And when you look at this Metropolitan Division, there's opportunity here. I
Yeah.
mean, some of the long time good teams, they're getting older.
The timing happens, and no doubt about it. So everything's right in their favor now for this rest of this decade to make their move. And like you said, with the Stadium Series, that can energize a whole organization, energize young players, give them a little carrot out there to look at. And like you said, you want to be relevant when you're playing in an outdoor game as well. You want the game to mean something. And I got a feeling that game will mean something next March in the standings for Columbus.
Well, I would offer you my tickets for that game, but I'll bet you have a better line on better seats.
Kirk Herbstreit better hook me up. There's got to be a Buckeye allotment. So I'm calling Kirk. I've never cashed my Herbstreit check for a football game. I'll cash it for a hockey game.
All right, that's a good thing. That's great thinking.
Yes. John,
thank you very much. Great to see you. Great to have you back here in Columbus, and best of luck in all your travels and all you do.
There's no place like home.